বন্দে মাতরম হলো এক মহামন্ত্র, এমন এক সঙ্গীত যা সমগ্র আনন্দমঠ উপন্যাসের প্রাণ সঞ্চার করেছিল। বন্দে মাতরম সুদূর ইংল্যান্ডের মাটিতেও একদিন ঝড় তুলেছিল।
বন্দে মাতারম, যার অর্থ মাকে বন্দনা করি, ক্রমান্বয়ে এই সঙ্গীত ভারতীয় স্বাধীনতা সংগ্রামের বীজ মন্ত্র হয়ে ওঠে। পরাধীনতার শেকল ভাঙার দুর্জয় এক হাতিয়ার রূপে প্রতিষ্ঠিত হয় এই গীত, যা উচ্চারণ করতে করতে কত শত বীর বিপ্লবী হাসি মুখে গলায় পড়েছে হাসির দড়ি, সয়েছে অকথ্য অত্যাচার।
আনন্দমঠ উপন্যাসের পটভূমি এবং পরবর্তী সময়ে পরাধীন ভারতের মূল মন্ত্র এবং বর্তমান ভারতের জাতীয় সঙ্গীত বন্দে মাতরম সৃষ্টির স্থল হল মুর্শিদাবাদের লালগোলা। ৭৬-এর মন্বন্ত ও সন্ন্যাসী বিদ্রোহের কাহিনী অবলম্বন করে আনন্দমঠ উপন্যাস রচিত হয়েছে। এই সময়কালে তিনি বিভিন্ন সাধু সন্ন্যাসীদের সঙ্গ লাভ করেন। এই আধ্যাত্মিক জগৎ তাকে অনুপ্রাণিত করে বন্দে মাতরম সঙ্গীত রচনায়। ভারতবাসী সেদিন নিজ বাসভূমে পরবাসী।
বঙ্কিমচন্দ্র চট্টোপাধ্যায় লালগোলা রাজবাড়িতে অবস্থানের সময় তার নিভৃত স্থান নির্দিষ্ট ছিল কালীবাড়ির ঈশান কোণের অবস্থিত দোতলায়। সন্ধ্যার সময় আরতি দর্শন করে এসে তিনি একটি ডেক চেয়ারে উপবিষ্ট অবস্থায় সামান্য তন্দ্রা হতেন। এই অবস্থাতেই তার চেতনায় উদ্ভাসিত হয় বন্দে মাতরমের মহামন্ত্র।
বন্দে মাতরম হল মাতৃবন্দনার মহাসঙ্গীত এবং এই মাতা হলেন নিঃসন্দেহে জননী জন্মভূমি দেশমাতৃকা, মাতৃভক্ত সন্তানের একমাত্র আরাধ্যা, যার মধ্যে দশপ্রহরণধারিণী দুর্গার শক্তি, কমলদল বিহারিণী কমলার ওই বৈভব ও বিদ্যাদায়িনী। এই মাতৃমূর্তির কল্পনা বঙ্কিমচন্দ্র চট্টোপাধ্যায়ের একদম নিজস্ব।
বন্দে মাতরমের সঙ্গীতের প্রথম অংশ দেশমাতৃকার বাহ্যরূপ বর্ণনা করা হয়েছে দেশের জল, ফল, নিত্যবায়ু ও শস্য শ্যামল ক্ষেত্রে মাতার প্রকাশনমান।
জ্যোৎস্নাময় রাত্রিতে তিনি হাস্যময়ী, বনের মর্মর ও বিহঙ্গের কলতানে তিনি কলহাস্য মুখরা। কাননের ফুল্লকুসুম ও দ্রুমদল দ্বারা তিনি সুশোভিত। দেশের এই প্রাকৃতিক সৌন্দর্যে মা হলেন সুহাসিনী, সুমধুর ভাসিনী। তিনি সুখদা ও বরদা, সর্বকল্যাণময়ী। সন্তানদের সকল কর্মপ্রয়াস ও কৃতিত্বের প্রেরণা হলেন দেশমাতৃকা। দেশপ্রেমেরই এক অনবদ্য মূর্ছনা। বন্দে মাতরম কেবল সঙ্গীতের পদ নয়, মায়ের গান মন্ত্র, সে যুগের রণহুঙ্কার, বিপ্লবীদের মাভৈ মন্ত্র। আজ আমরা স্বাধীন, কিন্তু বন্দে মাতরম আজও আমাদের দায়িত্ব মনে করিয়ে দেয়। দেশপ্রেম মানে শুধু স্মরণ নয়, দেশের জন্য কাজ করা। এই ১৫০ বছরে বন্দে মাতরম আমাদের শিখিয়েছে ভালোবাসা, ত্যাগ ও দেশপ্রেমের অর্থ। ১৫০ বছর পেরিয়েও এই গান আমাদের ঐক্য, সংস্কৃতি ও পরিচয়ের প্রতীক। এখন সমবেত কণ্ঠে পরিবেশিত হবে জাতীয় সঙ্গীতের প্রেরণা স্বরূপ এই গান বন্দে মাতরম।
वन्दे मातरम् सजलां सुफलां मलयज शीतलां शस्यश्यामलां मातरं वन्दे मातरं सजलां सुफलां मलयज शीतलां शस्यश्यामलां मातरं वन्दे मातरं वन्दे मातरम् शुभ्रज्योत्स्ना पुलकितयामिनी फुल्लकुसुमिता द्रुमदलशोभिनी सुहासिनी सुमधुरभाषिणी सुखदां वरदां मातरं वन्दे मातरं वन्दे मातरं वन्दे मातरम्
Very good morning. This is a very, very important and special moment for all of us today, because this program was envisioned as a joint mental exercise by Dr. Nag. Thank you very much for this. You have always been so encouraging that all our programs from IGNOU Kolkata regional centers looked to him to have the appropriate platform, and we found the right platform here. This is also an extension of the 77th Republic Day celebration. We wanted to commemorate the 158th occasion of Vande Mataram. Through this, we wanted to meet all the students and the next generation of counselors, teachers who are going to be part of IGNOU's exercise. We wanted them all to come together and celebrate and commemorate Vande Mataram. And this became an occasion that we were all looking forward to, and I would like to, in that sense, express my special gratitude to all the dignitaries who are here with us. Our chief guest, Professor Nirmal Kanti Chakraborty, former Vice Chancellor, West Bengal National University of Juridical Sciences, NUJS, Kolkata. Thank you so much, sir. আপনি আমাদের সবসময় এত আমাদেরকে রাস্তা দেখিয়ে নিয়ে গেছেন যে আজকের দিনটা বন্দে মাতরম সেলিব্রেশনের জন্য আপনি এখানকার মোস্ট অ্যাপ্রোপ্রিয়েট পারসন টু বি হিয়ার উইথ আস। সবাইকে আশীর্বাদ করবেন যাতে এর আগে আমরা বন্দে মাতরমের স্পিরিটে এগিয়ে যেতে পারি। I would also like to express my special gratitude to the guest of honor, again, Professor Rupendranath Chattopadhyay, Professor of History, Presidency University, Professor of Archaeology and Vivekananda Chair and Social Sciences, University of Calcutta. Thank you, sir. I would also like to express a special gratitude for a dear friend and also a very, very uptight and eminent intellectual, Dr. Bikramjit De. Bikramjit De is also an associate professor with he teaches legal history in NUJS, but besides that he is also a Commonwealth scholar and a Fulbright scholar, an eminent intellectual from West Bengal. We are very happy to have him here with us to share this little time that we could spare. The reason we conceptualized this particular inauguration as such, history is a very, very powerful instrument in our hand, because it is through history that we learn how we should take the path forward And it is also history through which we can learn from our mistakes. And what better way to understand Vande Mataram and celebrate the 77th Republic Day celebration than a meeting with eminent historians. History is going to guide us and tell us what is the significance of understanding the Indian national movement. How is the movement even today relevant for all of us? Because of the special character that Indian freedom struggle poses for the rest of the world. Colonization took place in many other countries, but if you see the very special nature of colonial, colonial independence that we sought from the colonial rule, the special nature that it had, the elevated nature of the Indian independence movement happened under the backdrop of the achievements of these special and superhuman rishis and thinkers and intellectuals who guided this movement. Bankim Chandra Chattopadhyay was one such. His legacy continued for so many years. And today, when we are at a backdrop of a number of changes that are happening in the universe today, in the world, the global world needs a new intellectual paradigm. The global world needs a new innovative paradigm. And along with it, there are a number of efforts that are being made from the civil society, from different nations, to create a new framework of nationhood which can be seen through the lens of responsibility. It is not just important to understand nationhood in the way that we have been understanding nationhood all this while. There is a new need and there is a new paradigm which sets in new parameters by which you have to think about nationhood. And one such parameter is the sense of responsibility. The sense of personal responsibility, personal management practices, all of this are so full in our historical legacy, in the ancient civilization that India performs. And that is what I would like all of you to take with you today from the panel which is here, who are going to enlighten us through their historical understanding of how these years that we have passed, the 77th year of Republic Day celebration, and why 150th year of Vande Mataram has a special significance today. Thank you very much, and I would like to now start this program, and I hope all of you are going to participate in this program with the same zeal as it was envisioned. Thank you so much.
Good morning to all of you. I am glad to be here and also proud to be the chief guest in one of the important event in our educational institutions organized by IGNOU Eastern Regional Center. On 26 January 1950, when we adopted our constitution, the Constitutional Assembly considered that Bankim Chandra Chatterjee's Vande Mataram should be our national song. We have our national anthem of Rabindranath, but it is our fortunate being in Bengali that both our national anthem and national song written by our Bengali poet and novelist, and Bankim Chandra also one of the magistrate in the colonial British rule. Now, as it is enshrined in our constitution at the national song on 15th August 1947, it being integrated in our nation civilization, political and cultural ethos. Our first president, Rajendra Prasad ji, said the song Vande Mataram which has played a historic part in the struggle for Indian freedom, shall be honored equally with Jana Gana Mana and shall equal status with it. We know that 1874, the first it came into the literature as a word of motherland in the Anandamot novel. We also to remember that on December 28, 1986, in the National Congress at Calcutta, Rabindranath Tagore, in his own musical composition, sang the Vande Mataram, and that the importance continuing even today, that what inspiration and what composition music given by one of the greatest poet in the world. Some of the historical conspectus of Vande Mataram, if we look into, I think Rupendra Babu and my colleague Vikramjit also look into some of the things which I have the information I know. 1904, Sister Nivedita designed a national flag with Vande Mataram, which was adopted at the Congress at Calcutta also on 20th December 1906. So its history of Vande Mataram and its journey and the people who are associated with this journey are remembered by the people of India. 1905, we know the history, the Bangabhanga Andolon, when Lord Curzon took the bill of partition. Thousands of people gathered against the British ban of this song at town hall, and they sang this Vande Mataram in town hall, Kolkata. Regarding Vande Mataram, we can also remember the newspaper launched by Bipin Chandra Pal, later also joined by Aurobindo Ghosh as editor also there in 1906. We have read in the history some of the incidences where our martyrs, our freedom fighters, they have the honor to sing the Vande Mataram, and this encouragement, the courage that is seen in the song Vande Mataram, that led our martyrs and freedom fighters. They sang the song with courage, and they are remembered by our country. But Vande Mataram continues its strength and its legacy to many others. From Kerala, Tamil Nadu, we have noticed others also. We know also in our Bengal, Matangini Hajra, 1942 September 29, when shot and killed, chanting the Vande Mataram. 1943 July 4, Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose, when hosting Indian Independent League flag also at Singapore, the song Vande Mataram was their slogan. From the legendary singing also, the Vande Mataram, we know that Jodu Bhatto, the music teacher of Rabindranath, and also Sardar Sarala Devi, they also sang this Vande Mataram, which is our national song. Later on, we can remember Ravi Shankar composed this orchestra of Vande Mataram for 15 August 1947, and it was broadcasted in All India Radio on 15th August night 1947. Later on, we can remember the duet of Hemanta Kumar Mukhopadhyay and Lata Mangeshkar immortalized this Vande Mataram. There are others also followed by Hemanta Mukherjee and also Lata Mangeshkar. I can refer you another inspired, and I think it has long impact in our society and in the history also. Abanindranath Tagore, who envisioned Bharat Mata and portraying Vande Mataram as mother, and imagine 4 armed and goddess represented, 4 armed. One is Sikha, education book is there in one hand, the spiritually holding the rosary, that is Dikha. We have also seen the sheaf of rice in one hand, known as Anno, and also cloth, Vastro. This Sikha, Dikha, Anno, Vastro, which depicted by Abanindranath Tagore in the depiction of Vande Mataram as our nation mother. It has its impact and philosophy. If we look into even Western classical literature, almost same thing revealed in Jeremy Bentham in his Ode to Civil Law. If we look into our constitution, one of the goals aspired, desired by our framers, justice, social, economic and political. So today, when we see our people still now not the majority, even more than 40% people are illiterate or not in that sense literate. We also hear that there are people who are not getting food twice in a day in our country. I have the experience in some of the villages in West Bengal. Even the tribals and some poor having the torn clothes even in the winter, not getting a warm shawl for the wearing in the winter. No, what, and as regards spiritual, there is divided spirituality and religion being confused. কিছু ধর্মীয় গ্রন্থ দেখি, সেখানেও কিন্তু ধর্মে ধর্মে বিভেদ নয়, যেটা রামকৃষ্ণ দেব বলেছেন যত মত তত পথ, কিন্তু আমরা আজকে দেখছি যে আমাদের কনস্টিটিউশনে যদিও লেখা আছে উই আর নট recognize any religion, we are secular, but in practice we are very much upset the way we are looking into the conflicts among the religions, conflict of what the constitution aimed at. বন্দে মাতরমের যে ফিলোসফি, যে বন্দে মাতরম আমাদের দীক্ষা শিক্ষা, যে স্বপ্ন ইন্সপায়ার করেছিল আমাদের স্বাধীনতা সংগ্রামে, সেখানে এখনও কিন্তু আমরা ক্রমশ দূরে চলে যাচ্ছি। তার কারণ আমরা সবাইকে সমানভাবে, যে ইকুয়ালিটি, যেটা কনস্টিটিউশনে আমরা বলেছি ইকুয়ালিটি আমাদের ফান্ডামেন্টাল রাইটস, সেটা নেই। আমরা মানুষকে সবাইকে সমানভাবে দেখতে শিখিনি, যেটা আমাদের মনীষীরা বিভিন্নভাবে বলার চেষ্টা করেছেন। বঙ্কিমচন্দ্রের বন্দে মাতরম 150 বছর এবং আমাদের প্রজাতন্ত্র দিবসের এই 77 বছরেও আমরা কিন্তু আমাদের সংবিধান, আমাদের সমাজ, উই দি পিপল অফ ইন্ডিয়া, যেটা স্বপ্ন নিয়ে শুরু হয়েছে, তার যাত্রাপথ এখনও বাকি। কিভাবে পৌঁছাবো তার অনেক আছে। আমার মনে হয় স্বামীজির, যদি আমি ফিলোসফি বা স্বামীজির লেখা থেকে যদি একটু সংক্ষেপে বলি, স্বামীজি বলেছেন আমাদের ভারতবাসী সবাই আমরা সমান। তার জন্যে আমাদের যেটা করতে হবে, আমাদের প্রত্যেকেই চেষ্টা করা উচিত অন্যের চোখের জল মুছিয়ে দেয়া। There are many people in your society, in your surroundings, they are crying for living, for basic needs, many reasons. If you at least one human being can remove the tears of his eyes. Martin Luther King, almost same way, that every day we have to think what we have done for others. I think that বিবেকানন্দ, রবীন্দ্রনাথ বা আমাদের বঙ্কিমচন্দ্র, আরও আমাদের যারা সমাজে এবং আমাদের ভারতবর্ষের মহাপুরুষ, তাদের এবং আমাদের যে কনস্টিটিউশন যারা তৈরি করেছেন, তাদের প্রতি শ্রদ্ধা জানিয়ে আমি আশা করব, আমরা চেষ্টা করব আমাদের সোশ্যাল জাস্টিস আর বন্দে মাতরমের শিক্ষা দীক্ষা অন্নবস্ত্র যেন সবার কাছে পৌঁছে। থ্যাংক ইউ।
Thank you, sir, for that glowing introduction. I feel deeply honored to be present here today. Mr. Principal, sir, Dr. Shubin Nath, Dr. Sujata Hajarika, Director of the Regional Center of IGNOU in Kolkata, Professor Nirmalkanti Chakraborty, our former Vice Chancellor and my Vice Chancellor at the West Bengal National University of Juridical Sciences, Professor Rupendra Kumar Chattopadhyay, formerly Vivekananda Chair Professor at Presidency College, Dr. Shantanu Mukherjee, Assistant Regional Director. It is my pleasure and privilege to be present here today and to be asked to deliver a short, I promise, a short lecture on the role of Vande Mataram in the making of what I may myself suggest a national consciousness, and indeed in playing an important role in the making of the Indian national movement, which indeed is very dear to all our hearts. I will, in this short span of 10 minutes, try to address 3 short questions. One was Rishi Bankim Chandra Chattopadhyay, a pivotal, a key player in the making of what we may suggest is Hindu nationalism. 2 was, and in that context, was he a consolidator or was he the founder of that movement? And I will seek to suggest that he was a consolidator more than a founder. And 2, what impact did it have on the making of the Indian national movement? Because the Indian national movement continues to play a very important role in the making of contemporary India. It is still a very relevant movement, even though we have completed more than 75 years of India's journey into independence. Briefly, if I may suggest, Rishi Bankim Chandra Chattopadhyay was indeed a consolidator, because Hindu nationalism, as we know, was probably founded in Bengal in the 18th century after the Battle of Plassey, which took place in 1757. It may be traced back to the history of the Shobhabazar Raj, and also to the history of the founding of the Durga Puja to some extent, and the creation of a nationalist fervor. Rishi Bankim Chandra Chattopadhyay, who was born several years after Raja Ram Mohan Roy, did play a very major role in the making of this consciousness through his many writings, through his many novels. And it is in that context that I would like to mention 2 of his major novels. The most important one, of course, is Anandamot, which was published in 1882, and which carries Vande Mataram in it. Vande Mataram, incidentally, was written for the first time in Sanskritized form in 1870, and it was published for the first time in 1882. So, Anandamot is one novel that I would be briefly discussing, and the other one, of course, captures my imagination a bit more perhaps, which is Durgesh Nandini, which was published in 1865. Bankim Chandra Chattopadhyay's first novel, incidentally, was Rajmohan's Wife, which was written in English. So Bankim Chandra Chattopadhyay didn't only write in Bengali, he wrote also in English like Rabindranath Tagore. But these 2 novels were of course written in Bengali like most other novels that he wrote. And I would like to suggest that the consolidator in Rishi Bankim came forward through these novels that he wrote. He of course extolled the virtues of Hindu nationalism in his novels, but he never once took a partisan view, nor can we consider Bankim Chandra Chattopadhyay's writings to be antithetical to the creation of a secular nation. Vande Mataram, which was adopted as a national song in 1950, is certainly in sync with our secularism. So, Bankim Chandra Chattopadhyay was indeed a national figure whose devotion to nationalism and Hindu nationalism, so to speak, was supreme. But this devotion to Hindu nationalism was well within the parameters of a liberal, tolerant, secular nation state that leaders like Tagore, Gandhi, Mahatma Gandhi, Jawaharlal Nehru envisaged. Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose envisaged. Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose was also deeply rooted in his religion, but he denounced any form of communal disharmony. So, Rishi Bankim Chandra Chattopadhyay's writings, his writing of Vande Mataram, may be considered to be integral, I should say, within the context of a secular nation state rather than anything else. That's the first point that I would like to make. And the second point, what does it mean for Indian nationalism, Indian national movement, Indian nation state? He was writing at a time when the national movement was being founded. If I may seek to suggest, then I would take back the birth of Indian nationalism to the first war of independence of 1857. Not to Macaulay's Minute or to Wood's Dispatch or to the founding of the Indian Civil Service or the railways in 1853, or to the westernization or anglicization of Indian education, but to the first war of independence, which has been erroneously called the Mutiny. It was India's first war of independence. The birth of Indian nationalism may be traced back to this period, and through the next 50 years, Indian nationalism grew, culminating eventually in the formation of various political parties. Bankim Chandra Chattopadhyay's writings coincided with the birth of Indian nationalism, with the nascent phase of Indian nationalism, early childhood of Indian nationalism, if I may suggest. He was writing from 1864 onwards. Rajmohan's wife, his first novel, that too in English, was published in 1864. Durgesh Nandini was published in 1865. So, his writings, his literary output may be considered to be almost coterminous with Indian nationalism, the birth of Indian nationalism at a time when the Zamindars Association was being formed. People were beginning to protest against the Press Act, and of course the famous Ilbert Bill controversy broke out in the 1870s and 1880s, when Indian magistrates and judges were not allowed to either draw salary on par with their English counterparts in the Indian civil service, or to pass a judgment on an Englishman. Indian ICS officers could only pass judgments on Indian subjects, effectively turning them into judges of the adalats, which is what the adalats were set up for. Sadar Diwani, Sadar Nizamat Adalat. I'm a legal history teacher, as Sir would know, so that is what my syllabus constitutes. So, I would like to quickly wind up today's lecture with a suggestion that we may consider Bankim Chandra Chattopadhyay to be one of the founders of the Indian national movement, more than being a founder of Hindu nationalism. He was a consolidator of Hindu nationalism, but he was one of the many very prominent founders of the Indian national movement, which of course in the early 20th century saw the tragic division of the province in 1905, the Swadeshi movement, and then the rather hasty patch-up that took place in 1911 when the province was reunited. So, with these few words, let me then conclude today's lecture. In conclusion, I may again reiterate this point that I am just now making. Rishi Bankim Chandra Chattopadhyay was indeed an epochal figure in the Indian national movement. His contribution to the Indian national movement will be remembered in the most glowing terms for centuries to come. I believe the Indian national movement will be one of those great historical moments in the history of Indian civilization from every perspective, not only from the perspective of one political party, from the perspective of several political parties, all the political parties, because everybody participated in it. And Rishi Bankim Chandra Chattopadhyay was indeed one of the makers of this movement. I mean, with these few words, I may take your leave. Thank you.
After my master, I joined Delhi University as a student of MPhil, and then I have completed my higher study in Delhi University. I served Delhi University for 20 years, and then I joined Calcutta University as a teacher. And so after that, teaching in presidency, and then again to Calcutta University. I have no word to express my gratitude for my invitation here to this program related to commemoration of 150 anniversary of Vande Mataram and orientation program for academic counselors. And I'm really grateful to Madam Sujata Dr. Radhika for her invitation. I'm also grateful to the other authorities in Supreme Rai College of Education, particularly Shri Babu, for their endorsement for my invitation. I have not much time since we are running late today. So if you agree with the other speakers' deliberation, then we are aware about the significance of today's program. Bankim Chandra Chattopadhyay stands as a towering figure in the annals of Indian literature and intellectual history, particularly renowned for his profound influence on the nationalist movement during the British colonial rule. His literary creation, most notably Vande Mataram and the song Vande Mataram, not only captivated the imagination of contemporaries, but also galvanized a sense of collective identity and resistance against colonial domination. Chattopadhyay's portrayal of nationalism was multifaceted, blending cultural revival with fervent patriotism, and his work continued to resonate in Indian social and political landscape. Spirituality in Bankim Chandra Chattopadhyay is primarily expressed through the determination of the motherland as a goddess or mother goddess, Matri Devo Bhava, blending intense patriotism with religious or devotional aspects. The novel Anandama presents the Santan or the Santan Dol movement, where sannyasi or sacrificing their lives and worldly desires for the liberation of the nation, often viewing the freedom struggle as a divine calling. Major aspects of spirituality of Anandama could be interpreted in various ways. The song Vande Mataram is not just a patriotic anthem, but a spiritual hymn that transforms the motherland into mother goddess, maybe Durga or Kali, elevating national service to a sacred duty. So, Vande Mataram is a mantra. The nation is portrayed as a mother figure. The motherland as divine, suppressed, needing protection, and worshipped by our Shantandol, or the freedom fighter. Sannyasi or the protagonist are nothing but the monk who had renounced family and worldly desire or pleasure or materialistic work to serve the nation and dedicating their lives to a higher spiritual purpose rather than personal gain, so as their nation. The Shantan law follow strict monk-like discipline, emphasizing that the worship, the whole worship, is the ultimate sacrifice needed for the liberation. So the Ananda model presents the fighting against injustice as a form of righteous war or dharma yuddha, where political freedom and a intertwined with moral and spiritual refinement. The text often interpreted through the lens of nationalist spirituality portray Ananda as a base where spiritual seekers become active participants in liberating the motherland. So the whole spiritual idea that also expressed in different dimensions and thoughts of Aurobindo and others. So motherland could be treated as a deity, which equates the physical land with goddess like Durga or Lakshmi, so that spirituality is based on the Karma Yoga. Renunciation for a cause that is rebellion against the oppression as a form of dharma, that is the continuity of our Vedic tradition, so that if you go through the Veda, later Veda, so as the Quran and other textually, you will get enough evidence related to such kind of act that suddenly dragged by different, particularly Aurobindo's work, if you go through the entire views, soul of worship, divine power, and how the requirement for national awakening, the struggle is nothing, could be treated as a battle between light and the dark. So, Chattopadhyay's literary career coincided with a critical juncture of India's history, marked by the growing tide of anti-colonial sentiment and the quest of national identity. So, since we are running late, I will not extend my thoughts, little thoughts in this morning. I'm really thankful to the possibility for my invitation, and I'm really grateful to you all for your patient hearing. Namaskar.
Yes, why not? Prabhu, where you are, yes, Mohua, and those who helped in the decoration, my team, the college team, students, all the students, they have helped in decorating this. And one more clap, please, for Sujata Hazarika ma'am, the most dynamic senior internal director I have ever seen, because I am associated with IGNOU since 2000 when I was in St. Xavier's. But Madam, one after another, the ideas and the implementation of all these ideas, hats off to you. And when I got that telephone call from you, within 3 minutes, we have decided about this program, and my students, they know it best because I called my students and requested them to host it, and the final touch is given by my friend Dr. Chatterjee. So this is a proud privilege, being the principal of this college, to welcome all the dignitaries on the dais for this very auspicious occasion. As Madam was telling me that your introduction is missing, so I think I will be introducing myself in a slightly different manner today, which many of you do not know. Because whenever we are talking about this Vande Mataram, I feel a bit nostalgic. I was a schoolboy at that time in half pant. I never understood anything. And on the dais, Srimati Indira Gandhi at the time, she was the Prime Minister of India. And Ajoy Kumar Mukhopadhyay was the Chief Minister of West Bengal at that time. Probably it was a Jukto Front government. Yes. So my father was felicitated by Srimati Indira Gandhi with the Tamro Patro, the first batch of Tamro Patro, probably all of you know now, that is given to the freedom fighters. And at that time I couldn't realize anything because I was a very small kid and I was sitting by my side of my mother. And later on I came to know about this. My father was introduced in presence of Indira Gandhi as the most dreaded terrorist of the country from Chittagong. So that was the British archive. So it was quoted. He was in British prison for 6 years when he was only 17 years old. So Chittagong was a place, all of you know, history professors are here. So parallel Jugantar and Onushilan, a lot of revolutionary activities were there, and my father was part of that. So Vande Mataram we used to hear, listen since my childhood, number one. And number two, another very proud thing for me, in Cellular Jail when we visited there, 3 of our family members' names were there. So we took that snap that my family is a very proud family of revolutionaries. And all of them, even a lot of my aunties and uncles are part of that. And not only that, even my grandmother, she used to wear a petticoat. She prepared herself with some small pockets inside the petticoat where she used to carry one-shotter pistols for the revolutionaries. And few days back, few researchers came to our house to know about my grandmother. Because it was never recorded anywhere. Now we are talking about women empowerment. Now what could we say about my grandmother? She was the backbone of all these revolutionaries. Of my father, my uncles, my aunts. So she used to back up all these people. Not only my grandmother, lot of other ladies, aged ladies even. In every household in Chittagong, that was actually the cauldron of armed revolution. History professors like here, you know it much, much better than me. But I'm very much touched when Ministry of Culture, some researchers, they came to my house and they took photographs and all the papers of my father and all the thing what I have, including the Tamropatra and all other mementos. The role of people, the family, common man, ladies, aged ladies like my grandmother, and a lot of ladies are relatives like Kalpana Joshi and other relatives from Chittagong. So this is actually the background. And when I used to ask a lot of questions when I grew up, I never knew anything about my own family. Colin Ghosh was my uncle. I never knew about them, who were they. I knew that they are my uncle, but that's all. So when I grew up, I came to know that Vande Mataram is actually a slogan to put energy within the mass. Vande means I'm tribute to Ma. Ma means all of us, we are born from our mother. We love our mother, we respect our mother. And that was the philosophy of comparing our motherland, country, with Ma. That thing, that emotional bond, if we can see our country as our mother, we can even lay our life for our motherland. When I visited army camp in Leh, I have seen one very, very emotional caption there. And I regret, I quote, I regret that I have only one life to offer to my country. So touching. So this is actually the reason, because at that time few people were sacrificing their life. Few people were trying to have freedom for the country. But the majority of the mass, they were indifferent. They were not even known. I don't want to name so many people here, it's not possible also. But how many of you know the name of Bhagat Talwar? Anyone in the class? No one. Bhagat Talwar was a person who helped Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose to cross the border of Afghanistan, and he betrayed and gave that information to the British and never allowed Netaji Bose to go to Russia, because at that time Russia was an ally of Britain in the World War. And Netaji Bose was forced to go to Germany to Hitler and take help of Japan and Germany for our country's freedom. Nobody knows about Bhagat Talwar because he was actually a spy but betrayed, and later on Uday Chand was caught. Umar Chand was caught because he gave shelter to Netaji Bose. Lot of such characters are missing in history, sir. And this is the new project is being taken up by Ministry of Culture. And a lot of researchers are now roaming around the country to find out the history of these armed revolutionaries, what role they played to make our country free. Bhagat Singh to Shurjo Sen, lot of people, they gave their life. And lot of ladies of the family, they sacrificed. We know about Priti Lata, we know about Matangini Handa, we know about Rani Jhansi. So why we are talking about women empowerment now? It was there, right from the beginning of the armed struggle. Now it is coming in the form of economic point of view. So these are the issues. And when I was small, with this I am going to end my small welcome address. I'm not supposed to say, but please excuse me, ma'am, because I'm becoming very nostalgic, because my family is associated with this freedom movement. When I was growing up, now you know that I'm getting this type of people around me. My aunts, Satyendranath Majumdar was the pioneer of Communist Party in India. He was member in the Rajya Sabha for 3 consecutive times. At that time it was not divided, CPI. So he was my aunt, but uncle. My Baba was there, Gonel Ghosh was my Kaka. So when I used to get this type of people around me, and when I was in school, student of higher classes in school, I used to ask a lot of critical questions. Till date, now I'm 63 plus, I have not got the answers. So I've got a lot of eminent professors, so I'm repeating those questions again, innocent questions. Why can a trespasser, an intruder from outside, become the ruler of the country and decide the fate of the country by dividing it, by partitioning that country? Who are you to say whether we are living together or not? Here in my room itself, lot of religious people are here, lot of students are here. Why can't we live together? Who has told you that Hindus and Muslims can't live together in a country? It should be divided. Who are you to dictate? You are trespassers, just get out of our land. So these type of questions I used to ask to my father and my uncle. I couldn't get any answer. They used to smile. You are too small. Grow up, try to find out the answers yourself. That was the answer given them. So this is the thing. Now we are getting another Gunda in our world. That Gunda I am not naming. International Gunda. He is picking up another president of another country in the midnight. What is this going on? So political science people, juridical science people, international relations science people. So you need to really go for further research. Is it acceptable? Then what is the role of UN? What is the utility of United Nations then? What is the use of juridical universities and all researchers and pundits in our society and our political system? What role they are playing? So these are the critical questions now we are facing, and the young generations. Now I am old man, but young generations will be asking all these questions and go on asking these questions to the teachers who are bound to give this answer. Thank you, and excuse me for my embarrassing comments on the stage. But again, thanking you for hosting and organizing this program in our college. Thanking you, madam. Thanking all the organizers on behalf of IGNOU and my oldest friend in IGNOU, Shantanu Babu. Thanks.
লেকচার্স আমি আমাদের কলেজের তরফ থেকে আপনাদের তিনজনকেই অত্যন্ত আন্তরিকভাবে শ্রদ্ধা জ্ঞাপন করছি আমাদের কলেজে আসার জন্য, এবং আমরা অত্যন্ত সমৃদ্ধ হলাম আপনাদের উপস্থিতির জন্য। আমি নেক্সট ভোট অফ থ্যাঙ্কসের জন্য ইনভাইট করছি ডক্টর শান্তনু মুখার্জি স্যারকে।
Thank you, Dr. Chatterjee, for giving me this honors of saying few words for the distinguished dignitaries who are present here today. First of all, our chief guest, Professor Nirmal Kanti Chakraborty, former Vice Chancellor of National University of Juridical Sciences, for gracing these occasions and delivering his lecture on this juncture of 150th celebration of Vande Mataram and our independence for more than 75 years. Next on the line of speaker was Dr. Subina, Principal of Satyapur Rai College of Education, who has been longly associated with us, not as only principal of this college, but as a counselor of education programs of IGNOU for quite some times when he was serving the St. Xavier's College, which is one of the study centers of IGNOU since long. So sir, thank you for your enlightenment words and of course sharing your personal experiences vis-a-vis the Indian struggle for freedom and your association as one of the ancestors of that legacy. Next was our professor of history from Presidency University, Professor Rupendra Kumar Chattopadhyay. He was emphasizing on the Vande Mataram and of course the Indian struggle for freedom and how it has culminated in a Indian independence in 1947. So thank you, sir, for your time and your enlightening words, for encouraging the new students, the youngsters of this college. And of course, later at the last, we have the pleasure of our audience, Dr. Bikramjit De, Associate Professor of Legal History in the National University of Judicial Sciences. His deliberation on the twin motto of Rishi Bankim Chandra of fueling our Indian struggle for independence and as a consolidator and probably the impetus behind the armed struggle that we have seen in course of our struggle for independence. So thank you, sir, for elucidating the role of Rishi Bankim in dual mode. And last but not the least, all the staff members of this college, our coordinator, Dr. Kaushik Chatterjee sir, the other distinguished faculties of this college, the students of this college of education programs, the distinguished faculties of BA BCom programs who will be later joining us for the orientation program, for taking out this time, participating in this discourse of the independence and the effect of Vande Mataram on the struggle for independence. So thank you all for making it possible in such a short notice of time